Hello guys, this is Brian Tubbs coming at you with another video. Today I'm working on the piece we call Dolphins. I haven't worked on this piece in about a year or so, but every time I make one we sell it, so I just figured I would make a couple more just to have on hand, so when we get the season started I'll have some on hand. They just take quite a bit of time to make, so I don't make them that often, but whenever we make them we sell them right away. But today I'm working on just polishing the piece, and I just want to give you guys kind of little information on how I do it. I made a video, gosh, it's been about 3 years ago maybe, when I was making the piece The Dance, and I was showing you guys how I polish the piece. But it's been a few years now, and so I figured I would just make a slightly different video. Same techniques, but I'm just working on a different piece, and I thought I'd just kind of just bring it back up and refresh your guys' memory on how I did it if you saw that video. But I'll put a picture up of it just so you can take a look at that video. But I'm going to go over the pads that I used first, and let me show you the piece. And so this is the piece that we call Dolphins. It's three pieces stacked on top of each other. They kind of roll across each other, so it looks like this on this side, and then we turn it around and it looks like this. Now I've started polishing it with the gray polish, but I'm gonna take you guys through that step. And again, this is all 304 stainless steel when I make this piece. So this is the piece, and then this is one of the bases that it sets on. So this is the rear, of course it's the front, and Dolphins will come off of this base. They'll come up and they'll roll kind of this way. So the point will go into the base, come off the base, and they'll roll forward going this way. This is stainless steel as well. So this is this is a base I came up with, gosh, it's been 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And all of my Dolphins bases look like this. Some of them I'll use automotive paint on them, give them like a teal color, or someone wants a burnt orange or whatever they want. We can paint this base to match the color they want. But the Dolphins, we never paint. We just polish those up and just kind of let them do their thing. Well, let me get to the what I'm gonna show you. Okay, so when I first start making these things, again, I use 14 gauge stainless steel, just flat sheet, cut them out, get the shape that I want, get everything tacked up, welded up. I normally TIG weld these because I don't want a lot of spatter, on the face of the pieces, so I just TIG weld it. Then after I TIG weld it, I'll take one of my blue 36 grit flat discs, one of these guys. You guys have seen these before. They're just flat. They're not flap. They're flat, F-L-A-T, and they're 36 grit. I used glue, and I knocked the weld crown off with this. After that, I'll take the 40 grit and blend the weld in to the piece just lightly. I won't take the weld all the way down to the base metal. I'll just leave it a little bit high, right around the edges of this. And then after I use the 40, I'll take a 60 grit and knock it down just a little bit more, just to get the the high spots of the weld off. Then I'll go to 80 grit, and then 120. These are all flat discs. And then after I use the 120, let me bring this. I'm gonna come around so you guys can see a little bit better. After the 120, I'll use this. It's a coarse flap disc by CGW. It's right around the 120. It might be just a little bit finer than the 120 flap disc, just regular sanding disc. So I'll go with this next, and the part number on this is 70120. It's by CGW, 70120. And it's just a coarse Scotch-Brite, basically. That's what it is. So I'll go with this next. Then after I go with brown, I go with the red. It's 70122. So it's 70122 on the red Scotch-Brite flap disc that I use. So I go 120, then I go brown, and then I go red. 70122. And after I use the red, I go to the blue, which is 70189. And that's the blue Scotch-Brite. So each of these discs get finer and finer. So 70189 for the blue CGW Scotch-Brite disc. And then the last CGW disc that I use is a 2S-F. It's kind of a hard foam disc, and it's really it takes some material away, but very, very little. It's really, really fine. So when you use this, again, it's CGW 2S-F. When you use this, you're really polishing the stainless, and you really don't have to, go to the next step that I do. But I just go to the next step because when people look at the art, I want them to be able to see themselves, in that art. And in the Dolphins piece, it's a mirror. So I want them to be able to see themselves in the piece, and it seems like it just looks better when it's polished. But again, this is CGW 2SF. So this is the last disc I use like this. And then the next step after that disc, I'll just go with this yellow denim disc. And I use gray compound with it. And I get my polishing compound from Harbor Freight. I've not had any problems with it. It works just as well as the other more professional stuff, because I have a bar of the professional stuff, and I haven't noticed any difference at all between the Harbor Freight and the so-called professional stuff. They probably come from the same manufacturer, just put a different label on it for all I know. And I use this denim disc with the gray right after I use the 2S-F disc. And what this will do is take the other little fine scratches and whatnot off of the stainless after I use the black one, because the black one is really smooth, but there still could be some little really small scratches or whatever from that disc. So then I'll take, like I say, this yellow denim disc. Denim discs, you can get them in white, different colors, but this will just happen to be yellow with the gray compound. And then I put it, I put the yellow disc on this polisher. And I have this, I got this from my weld supply store. It's just an extension to get the this pad away from the machine. It just extends it out. So I'll take this yellow one, put on the machine. Of course, this white one won't be on here. I use this white one for the next compound. And I'll take this, just go over the whole piece, just polishing it out, getting like majority of little scratches and stuff out. And then the last step that I do is I take my white buffing pad. It's pretty soft. The denim pad is a little bit more stiff, and this is a lot softer than the denim pad, so I'll use this next. Excuse the noise, I hear somebody out there cutting grass or something. And then the last step I'll do is I use the green buffing polish on the white buffing pad. Now this is the Harbor Freight polishing compound, and this is what's left of the so-called professional compound. I don't notice any difference. I got this from a friend of mine that works over at the Water Supply store. He used to work for a company out in Vegas, and they would go through and the company would install all these stainless steel panels and handrails, safety rails all throughout the casinos to make them look nice. And then he and his crew would come behind them and polish everything, all the stainless, and they would use this particular compound. And they would have the polishers and going through and doing all the polishing. And he was the, I guess you call it the supervisor of the team. And so he gave me this and gave me a few tips on how they did it, and that was kind of how I, learned how to do this somewhat. So what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of green on the polisher and go ahead and polish up this piece just so you guys see it kind of how I do it. All right, guys, so I have the piece laying on a piece of cardboard just to keep it off of the wood table that's underneath here. I want to scratch it. I'm trying to get scratches out and not put more in. And what I do is how I want to go is have the wheel running, have the wheel running vertical, up and down, as much as I can. But when you get to these areas here, I can't run it vertically, so I have to turn it on a horizontal position. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll just be running it vertically as much as I can, then I have to turn it horizontally. So what I would do is I'll turn the buffer on, hold this in my hand fairly tightly, and I'll run the buffer over the compound just to get some of the compound onto the buffing pad. And as you see, guys, I'm just trying to go as vertical. When I say vertical, I just mean the wheel is in an upward position, but I'm still going kind of side to side. But it's just a wheel spinning, vertically. But in this, like the second and third section, I have to go horizontal just to get up in there. And after I get done with this, I'll explain why I'm doing this, trying to keep it as vertical as possible. All right, let me continue. So guys, what I'm trying to do is just, like I said, keep it vertical, but I'm also just hanging on to this guy because it wants to pull away from my hand, and I gotta keep control of it, because if it gets away, this bolt head could scratch this stainless, and then I have to start all over again. So I'm focusing on, trying to stay vertical as much as I can, getting to all little crevices and whatnot, but keeping this bolt head and this rear extension from touching the metal as I'm buffing. So all those things are going through my mind as I'm doing this. In most areas, I'm putting very light pressure, but when I get into these deeper areas, I'm putting a little bit more pressure, so this thing will get up in there and kind of do its thing. All right, here we go. Then what you do is the next step. I'll just take a terry cloth rag and kind of wipe it down, just to see, where I missed and that kind of thing. So you're just wiping it down. I'm looking for not only haze, but little spots I may have missed. They're not going to be perfect, but they should be really good. So I'm just wiping, and then I'll be just looking around to see if I see any things that I can touch up again. It's looking pretty good. Hopefully you guys can see that. Not looking too bad. And I like using terry cloths because they grab a little bit better than just a regular cotton shirt or something like that. This just has more bite to it, so it helps to pull some of the any polish that I missed. It'll help pull some of that off. So if you guys ever get into making stainless pieces, this is basically how you do it. It's not anything difficult. You just have to just know the steps. And some people do it differently than I do, but I just find this to be the easier way to do it. But of course, if I was making a larger piece, I would be using a wheel that's the width is much greater than this little thing. But that's okay for a piece this size. You can get these from like Harbor Freight, like the yellow pads I got from Lowe's. A couple years ago, they had these the cobalt pads. I can't remember how much they were, but I went in there and bought a couple. Went back in about a month later, and they had them on sale. I mean, at a very deep discount. They were getting rid of them. I guess they were no longer going to carry them, so I just put them on one of those blowout sales, and I bought all the rest of them they had, because I know how good they are. They're some pretty nice pads. All right, I'm gonna go back over it just a little bit more, and that'll be about it. They're not going to be perfect, but they'll be good. I'm trying to get as much haze off as I can. then I gotta just take my rag or terry cloth and I just go over it again. I mean, you can stay on this thing all day long if you like. It just depends on you and how it's turning out. If it's turning out like you want it, like you like it, then that's good. But if it's not, you just stick with it and just keep buffing and keep rubbing until you get to where you want it to be. But for me, this is getting pretty close. I see one little area that I might have to get again, and it's right up in this section here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to just do that one more time, right up in that little area here. Have to get the wheel up in there a little bit better. The one down here is fine, but in that section, you just couple little scratches going this direction. So I'm gonna have to get up in there, see if I can get the wheel in there to make that happen. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied. It's getting there. I think the next video I make will probably be trying to mount this thing, I think. Okay, let me try and get up in here. It's right in this section here that I'm trying to get. Gotta put my face shield back on. Put my gloves on. Put just a little bit more compound on the buffing wheel. Hopefully that got it. Let me see. Yep, got it. Looks better. Because in that little section it had just little, like, really light scratches. But I think it'll be okay. It would be nice if I could buff all these pieces before I weld them together, but that'll be, I could do it, but just taking a chance on scratching them as I'm stacking them on top of each other. By doing them individually, I'll be able to just buff the entire thing, vertically, which just give it a much better shine. And there you have it, guys. That's what it looks like. Just like that. All right, let me move this camera out. All right, guys, so I promised you that I would let you know why I'm trying to keep this thing vertical as much as possible. And you've heard me talk about, the haze. It's when I'm buffing, and I'm going to keep the buffing wheel going this direction, even if I'm pulling it this way. I want to keep it up this direction. because when you buff vertically like this, when people walk up to your piece, they won't see much haze. And haze is just kind of like a cloudy kind of look. But if I buff with the wheel going this way, when people walk up to it and they're standing vertically, they'll see a bunch of, cloudy haze. So when you buff, horizontally, and someone's looking at it vertically, they will see the haze. But if you buff with your wheel vertically, as much as you can, they will see a lot less haze. So although I can't buff in here vertically, it's good enough that they most likely won't even see the haze in this portion, because the way this piece it sits in the base here, and from the base, the piece draws the eye up to the top. So they might see some of the haze on the way up, but most likely not. They'll just see, this shiny metal on top. All of it's shiny, but there's some haze in it because you can't get the wheel in there to get everything. But that's the reason for keeping your wheel, as vertical as much as possible, because of the way the eye, see the haze. But this came out, really nicely. I'm satisfied with it. Let me just rub this side just a little bit more here. Yep, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. But that's the piece, guys. It's the piece we call Dolphins. And that's the technique I use to buff this piece or any other, polished stainless steel piece. The same techniques, the same steps. So if you, get ready to do a piece and you can't remember exactly what I said, just go back to the video. You can go to this video, or you can go to the video I'm working on the dance. I'm polishing the dance. And I talk about some of the same things, but I think you were able to get a better picture of me doing it, with different camera angles and whatnot. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this video. Hope you were able to learn something or refresh your memory of something you've already learned. But that's, how we do it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one, where I might be mounting this piece. I'm not exactly sure yet. It just depends on how things are flowing. But as usual, guys, peace out.